serve you. Small enough to carry. Got a lot to talk about today. We'll crank it up here in just a second with JC on the Titan MR Hotline. Second portion around 8:30, we'll be joined by James Bates. He'll recap the NCAA swimming championships and talk about the damn nonsense going on in that sport. We'll get his thoughts, which should be right along with everybody else's. Well, JC, good morning. How are you?
Yeah. Hey, man. Good. Good weekend. Lots to talk about last night, bro. Stayed up again till 1 o'clock in the morning. This thing is killing my sleep pattern. It really is. Did you watch the Arizona TCU finish?
I just watched the first half, and then I couldn't make it any longer.
What a finish. Well, I got to give TCU all the credit in the world. Arizona survived it. TCU played them head-to-head, and it was an exciting finish. Arizona hit a 3 QB with about 14 seconds to go, and they were down 3, and a lot of people were screaming for TCU to foul. But Arizona opened up, had a great offensive set, opened up a guy who hit it from the top of the key. So, this tournament, QB, what do you think? I'm looking at absolute disaster for the SEC. Pretty good.
You could say that you could say that. I mean, the Big Ten has 2 teams.
Yeah,
they
lost,
had 9 go in. We have 1. Right. So what's the difference?
Well, the SEC had every one of their teams was a 6-seed or higher, and that's a disappointment. I don't know how you can't cut it any other way. The Big Ten, I don't think really deserved 9 teams, but they got 9 teams. But they also lost. They only have 2 left. They lost 7 teams this weekend. The ACC with 3 teams, the Big 12 with 3 teams in the Sweet 16. I don't know. I mean, I don't. If I'm Auburn or Tennessee or Kentucky, for sure, I'm not pleased with how it ended because you're expecting to get to the Sweet 16, and if you're a 6 seed or higher, you want to at least win. But we do have Arkansas left Thursday. They'll play in the first game on Thursday night on CBS or on TV, I guess. I don't know what channels they're using these days, but Arkansas will play Gonzaga, and then that'll be followed by Michigan and Villanova on Thursday. And then after that, you got to wait 30 minutes for the next game. So that probably means Arizona and Houston won't start till 10 o'clock. So I don't know. Take a nap if you want to watch it. That should be quite a game on Thursday. And then the same thing happens on Friday. So that's where we're at. We've got a couple new coaches in the SEC, 2 QB with Chris Jans at Mississippi State and Todd Golden at Florida. So that's where I guess we'll leave it right there and let you go with that.
Yeah, I like the hire. Todd Golden, former point guard for St. Mary's, was a walk-on there. Coached under Bruce Pearl. He's responsible for, I think, 3 of the starters on their Final Four team at Auburn a couple of years ago, recruiting those guys. He's going to bring an international flavor to the mix because if you watch San Francisco, they had a ton of international guys on their team. Same way with Gonzaga and Arizona. So expect to see international dudes in the O'Connell Center, which I think is a good thing. And I think he'll go into the portal immediately, bring some talent, and got to be patient and see what happens. Like I told you, there was no way the Gators were getting a big name because they don't have the money. And why, if you're at a major basketball school, why would you leave a basketball school? It makes no sense to me. So, so John asked here on Facebook Live, brought to you by Metal Law, how much did the UNC Baylor game change on the manic ejection? UNC was up 25. I mean, I don't think it really mattered. I mean, Baylor started playing well. North Carolina started turning the ball over, and give Baylor a lot of credit for tying that game up. That was an unbelievable comeback, and they ran out of gas in overtime. But people want to point to that. I mean, it could be a turning point, but you're still up 25 points. Hell, if you just go down and you just at least get shots off, you probably win the game in regulation. But they just turned it over, couldn't inbound the ball. But, yeah, as you mentioned, Todd Golden's new coach here, the New Mexico State coach that a lot of people probably aren't familiar with, but he's done a great job with that program, is now at Mississippi State. LSU, Missouri, and South Carolina are still looking for coaches. Mm-hmm. I thought it was very interesting. Xavier rehires Sean Miller, who has so many issues going on with him. It was kind of an interesting hire, in my opinion.
Yeah, as far as that game goes yesterday, QB, I don't think anybody's, their expectation level was shot pretty much through the second half of the season. So, I mean, it's disappointing to lose, but I don't, in a way, I'm kind of thinking, it's a good thing because Florida needs to look forward. And this poor team was just, it just had some bad breaks go its way this year. It played hard. You can't fault the effort, the Gator basketball team. You can't fault the effort, but the results just weren't there. Now, as far as Todd Golden goes, 6 years contract, 6-year contract. So get used to him. He's going to be here for a while, folks. You'll see what, he was a protege of this guy named Kyle Smith, who coached at Washington State. You talk about a place that is literally impossible to recruit to, that would be Pullman, Washington. And yet he's pulled a pretty good program together at Washington State. I mean, the kid knows what he's doing. The guy knows what he's doing. He's going to be fine. He was 57 and 36 in 3 years. It did surprise a lot of folks that I talked to over the weekend who were Gator basketball fans, why somebody from San Francisco would come to Florida, but he sees an opportunity in this market, in this conference with the school. And, he's got the endorsement of Billy Donovan. So I guess that's going to have to be good.
People, the average fan does not understand. He's already coached in the SEC. And, we got Matt says here on Facebook Live, Mike White 2.0. Cliff says there are Gator fans already complaining about the hiring Scott Strickland. It's ridiculous. It is ridiculous because I just want people to go back to whatever was 1996. Nobody knew anything about Billy Donovan. Right, JC? Were you working at TV20 then?
Yes, I was, and we did not.
Okay, so the only thing people knew about Billy Donovan, and this was probably after the people read the Gainesville Sun or whatever, was that he played for Rick Pitino at Providence. That is the only damn thing they knew. They knew nothing about him. So nobody knows anything about Todd Golden, okay? So here's a new flash for you folks. There will never be another Billy Donovan. There will never be another Urban Meyer. There will never be another Steve Spurrier. Those are generational coaches, okay? I don't know who these people wanted Scott Strickland to go hire. It just blows my freaking mind.
Well, look, it didn't take him long. He's going to be here working, getting the program together, visiting recruits, looking at the portal. A lot of teams, and then, like you said, looking for some players outside the borders. I don't really care if they get international players or not. But what I want to see is, guys that can come in here and win, obviously, and that's what everybody wants to see. They just don't know the guy at QB. You just got to, folks, information is a lot easier to be spread these days. And back in the 90s, we didn't have much in terms of the ability to research things and spread information quite like they do today. And so he just wasn't one of the guys on the radar screen. But, this is a Scott Strickland hire. He's going to be responsible for the results, and Todd Golden's going to do the best he can. He's a young guy. I think that's the way of the world right now, appears to me. Chris Jans at Mississippi State's 52 years old. That's not an old guy. Todd Golden here is 36 years old. A lot of the coaches, look at who's playing today. These are young guys that now Bruce Pearl was in his 60s before he lost yesterday, but there's a lot of guys who are young coaching these teams. And, this, I think, seems to be the movement. The days of the Frank Martins and the gruffy guys yelling and screaming on the sideline. I don't know if kids relate to that. I think they like young coaches, and I think maybe, Todd Golden can surprise some folks and bring some real exciting talent in here. That's what I think Florida lacks, and that's what they'll probably, try to do, and through the portal and through other means necessary to get this program back.
You're gonna see people from international kids on this team, and I love it. I mean, the days of now we have two big guys that have already signed with Florida. They will try to keep those kids, but they will actually. Cliff says, I did hear that he reached out to Billy. Well, what people don't realize, Billy Donovan recommended him as the head coach to our search committee. So look, are we going to win a national title? Probably not. I mean, the point is, you hear people talk about the goal is to make the tournament. Once you get in the tournament, I think it is proven if people watch the tournament, how damn hard it is to win a game in the NCAA tournament. I mean, look what St. Peter's is doing. It's a tremendous story. St. Peter's is 2,300 students. They got to play Purdue now. I don't think they have a chance against Purdue because of Purdue's size, but who knows? But it goes to show you how difficult it is to win in the NCAA tournament.
Yeah, it's in many cases you just, you have to look at the way this tournament this particular year was seeded, and you really couldn't tell the difference in a lot of games between the 5 and the 12 or the 6 and the 11. And I'm surprised at who we have left. I did not expect Iowa State to get there, but some teams.
No, and that's a first-year coach who came from South Dakota State, and then he was at UNLV. A guy that you don't have to have a big name to win immediately in basketball.
Right, and think Gator fans should take heart. I'm wearing this Iowa State hat for the bigger reason I'm wearing it isn't because they're in the Sweet 16. Do you folks realize they were 2-22 last year? They won 2 out of 24 games, and they are dancing in the Sweet 16, getting ready to play. Getting ready to play the Miami Hurricanes. Who are they? Well, they have a guy now. This goes against what I was saying with the young dudes. Jim Larinaga is not a young dude, but he really gets the message across to these young players. And Miami, from the start to finish, dominated Auburn yesterday. There was never a doubt in that game. Auburn just was outplayed. And so it's Iowa State, Miami. Did anybody have that in the bracket? I'm not talking to a lot of folks who had that one in the bracket. So the tournament, as you say, is unpredictable. It's very unpredictable, and the results can be expected in some cases, but can come out of nowhere in others. And I think we're setting up for some really exciting games. I mean, this UCLA North Carolina game, not many folks talk about North Carolina either, but man, they've really turned it on and looked good. I think you better be careful with Houston, Arizona, and Houston. What an athlete! I mean, if you can stay up on Thursday night to watch Arizona and Houston, please do it, because you're going to see a phenomenal performance. I think from these two teams going literally up and down the court like last night with TCU. TCU played out of their minds last night. It was fun to watch, and I think this tournament is showing that this is one of the most rare events in sports. It's amazing.
Yep, it really is. And speaking of the Miami Iowa State game, Iowa State, TJ Olsenberger comes in and brings in transfers from everywhere, and look where they are. I wanted to bring up Miami. Their point guard, Charlie Moore, JC. Listen to this.
Okay.
This is how sports has changed, especially college basketball.
Uh-huh.
He played at Cal. He played at Kansas.
Yeah.
He played at DePaul. And now he's playing for the Miami Hurricanes. He's their point guard.
Yeah.
So that goes to show you that, if Todd Golden finds the right guys, it can happen quickly. We got a Facebook Live brought to you by Mel and Law. Clay says fans are going to fan. Some in Bama want Nate Oates out right now. Just stupid fans.
Well,
JC, do you want Nate Oates out?
Absolutely not. Nate Oates has brought a brand of basketball to Alabama that they're not familiar with, and even though they really finished badly this season, they've gone 2 years in a row. They're about to build a new facility. Things are looking up at Alabama, and the fans are just fans. I mean, in some ways, QB, you can't really blame fans because all they do is watch sports. They don't really follow it the way you've made a lifetime doing it, and all the folks that and friends who people who you consider friends. Sports is part of their life. For others who just go to the games casually or may turn it on, it's really just another thing to do or a distraction. So it's understandable, but really you don't have to worry about folks. If the guy wins, they're going to love him, right? I mean, that's the nature of the beast. That's human nature. And so if he wins, then great. I mean, how many people in Starkville, Mississippi are walking up and down the streets high-fiving each other that Chris Jans, who, by the way, did tremendous things at New Mexico State, but you just didn't know it, because nobody knows where Las Cruces is, for God's sakes. But this is a guy who went to 3 NCAA tournaments. He's won 4 WAC titles, 3 regular season championships in 5 years. So he's got a great resume, but nobody in Starkville is running up and down the streets getting excited about Chris Jans, except the ones who follow sports religiously. So I think, folks just got to give it a chance, let the guy do what he does. And remember, The University of San Francisco, QB. Do you know who their most famous player is that ever played there?
Yeah. Bill
Who
Russell.
is it? Bill Russell.
Bill Russell.
And other than Bill Russell, who can you tell me from San Francisco? So in other words, this guy went to a school, much like, say, Jacksonville.
I know one thing. That damn point guard he had other than night was a stud.
Unbelievable player. But the thing is that, you know, it's not a school on the radar screen. I think that's what fans reacted to. But again, when he puts on the uniform or the shirt and the coat and orange and blue and everything else, fans will get to know him and they'll start to like him. And if he wins, they will absolutely love him. So just let's see what happens and give it a chance. And hopefully this kid can get it done. He's only 36. He'll have a lot of energy and a lot of reason to do a lot of work at Florida because it needs a lot of work.
He's a lot older than Billy would. John says on Facebook Live, Arizona also has a first-year coach who had never heard of Tommy Lloyd. Tommy Lloyd was a Gonzaga assistant. He went to Arizona, and he went the Gonzaga route and brought in tons of international players. Chris says, never is a long time, Shane. Obviously, there will never be someone the exact same as those coaches, but all the fans want is a winner. If you don't think we are going to hire or have another winner, you're crazy. That's why we change coaches till we get one that will. Look, do I think we're going to win another national title in basketball? I do not. Do you, JC?
Well, maybe one day.
You know how hard that is?
Yeah,
that's
I do.
Okay, well, I don't know what he classifies as a winner. Mike White won games. So
I guess they just want to be a fixture. You know, they just want to be a fixture in the field of, I call it the field of 32, QB, because even though there's 64 teams or 68 teams, half that field is already set with conference tie-ins and so forth. So, you know, you gotta just be a fixture, I think. And, you know, for most of the time, you know, especially in 2016, 2017, when Mike White went to the Elite Eight, Florida was a fixture in many people's minds, but they've kind of gone south. So that's, I guess, what folks reacted to. But, you know, there's reason to be optimistic. And the reason to be optimistic is that you've got a 36-year-old guy in here who has a lot of energy, who has a feel for the entire basketball landscape. I mean, this guy coached at San Francisco, and you know, that's a big city. It's a big city. And so I guess the point I'm making is that he's not some remote guy who just is trying to cut his teeth somewhere. Even though this is only his second job, I think he'll be somebody that brings a lot of energy to the program and maybe an optimism that fans haven't seen here, that they're wanting badly. And if he can win, and that's, of course, the bottom line, right, they will come to like him, just like they did Billy Dom.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, I don't think we're going to win a national title under Todd Golden. I hope we do. But that doesn't mean I'm not a Gator fan and I'm not going to root for him. Like Cliff says here, do you know how hard it is to win one game? Do you consider John Calipari a winner? He has only won one national championship in his time at Kentucky. He didn't make the tourney last year and lost in the first round this year. That's what I'm saying. It's so damn hard. I mean, what do people right now think about Bruce Pearl, think about Rick Barnes, Calipari? I mean, it's so hard to win titles. So anyway, let's move on real quick before we get to Bates. Some other news and notes. Baseball and softball win 2 out of 3. They win the series this weekend. Gymnastics, your SEC regular season champs and your tournament champs, or meet champs, I should say. So now they take about a month until they get ready for the national championship, which is bizarre to me. But congratulations to them. And we'll talk to Bates about swimming and get his thoughts on all that mess going on there. If you missed it this weekend, Sam Burns goes back-to-back at the Valspar, wins the golf tournament. It was good TV watching for sure.
See that shot he hit on 17? Wow.
Yeah, that's you talking about Sam Burns in regulation?
Yeah.
It was one of the worst shots I've ever seen a PGA Tour guy hit.
But he recovered.
It was so bad.
He recovered.
He made a bogey.
I know. But, I mean.
He had to make a 10-footer to save and not have a double bogey.
Yeah.
Chris says the Gators are the most prestigious basketball school in the SEC since 2000. That's true. I agree with that.
I don't know what that. Well, okay, but
I guess he's talking about, because we've been to 4 Final Fours since 2000. No, that's not right. 3 Final Four since 2000, I guess, and 2 national championships. So anyway, John, switching gears, John says here, QB, what are y'all's thoughts on Deshaun Watson landing in Cleveland? What happens to Baker now? I think Deshaun's a good quarterback. He ain't worth $230 million, though.
And it's mostly all guaranteed money, dude. That's the thing I can't understand. Jimmy Haslam has this thing for eccentric maneuvers. He's the owner of the Browns. Baker says he wants to play at Indianapolis. He wants to play for Frank Reich. He wants to play for an offensive line like they have the Colts. And there's an opening there, by the way. So that's what Baker wants to do. We'll see if that facilitates for him. Deshaun Watson, though, hasn't played a down of football in almost 2 years now. And you're basically giving him $250 million, right? I mean, he's not going to be criminally prosecuted, but he's going to have civil litigation all over the place for I don't know how long. I don't know if that's the kind of distraction I would want for my quarterback, QB. Is that something you'd want to deal with?
No, not at all. Like I told you, I think Deshaun Watson's a good quarterback. I don't think he's a great NFL top 10 quarterback. That's just my personal opinion. But they're going to pay him $230 million for some reason.
Yes, they are. The NFL's had quite an offseason. They call it baseball's offseason, the hot stove league. I don't know what you want to call this, but it's hot. There's a lot of hot takes going on right now, a lot of moves, a lot of address. The Rams let poor old Robert Woods go. And, he was due a lot of money yesterday, and but what they did for him was they basically allowed him to select, which often opened up the flexibility for the other team who would take him, and all they got back was a 6th-round pick. So they let Robert Woods go. I mean, it's just the nature of football, right? That business can be tough, and they're trying to free up money for the Donalds, and they already signed Stafford again for another, 6-7 years. So he's going to finish as a Ram at quarterback in his career, and that's, I guess, what they wanted to do. I mean, the owner loves it. The owner was thrilled. So,
well, I like him too. Ruse Ogre State Farm Office is a team of dedicated insurance professionals ready to help life go right with the right insurance options for you and your family. They offer the essential needs of auto insurance, home, life, and health insurance. Just go visit them at ogreinsurance.com or call them at 352-240-1779. A few more minutes with JC here on the Titan MR hotline, and then we'll get to Batesy. We got a text on the Titan MR text line. I think it came in over the weekend, but I'm going to read it. It was Alan in Atlanta. He says, regarding the basketball coach, I'm expecting the next coach to have a good basketball pedigree. Check. Played for or coached with great coaches. Check. Program builder. Doesn't have to be a name guy. And yes, count me in with those who say Florida can be a blue blood basketball program. It'll take time, but that should be the goal and expectation.
Yeah.
I agree with all that, but we ain't never going to be a blue blood. It's not possible.
Yeah. Well,
would you agree with that or no?
I don't know. I mean, blue bloods. I think there are just so few of them because of how much history is involved in that term. And Florida's history really started basically when Coach Donovan got here. I mean, to me, but when you talk about a blue blood, you obviously are talking about decades of history, and that's a kind of I think what we're really talking about is Florida being a consistent threat to win championships. That's what they want here. That's what everybody should want at every school, and that's what everybody's trying to do. It's so competitive right now. The world, folks, is a lot smaller because of the internet, because of the transfer portal, because of so much. The world is smaller than it used to be when Kansas and Kentucky and Carolina and Duke were winning it all the time. I mean, many of those championships, folks, came before the internet when you look at their history. So I think, blue blood is a tough way of describing it. I just want a consistent team that threatens to win championships. That's what I think what most people are really expecting. At least I would.
Yep, for sure. Real quick, JC, we got another text on the Titan MR text line from Daryl. He says, good morning, guys. If JC can jump on a bandwagon, I can too. Tar Heels to the Final Four.
Yeah, man, they're playing great ball. You can't deny it. It's so weird how they just basically gagged against Virginia Tech. And these conference tournaments are so strange, right? A lot of teams that did great in the conference tournament aren't playing basketball anymore. So, this tournament that we've got going on right now, if Carolina gets through, Kenny the Jet on TNT took Carolina all the way. Of course, he's an alum, but I think he saw something in Carolina basketball that is obvious right now, and that is they can score some points, man. And Hubert Davis, he's been getting kind of criticized throughout the season. Look at him now. People are loving him. Isn't it funny how QB, when you win, all that stuff that was said earlier kind of goes away, doesn't it? And now you're a hero. So
yep, that's the world of sports for you.
That's
for
it.
Sure.
Yes, it is.
Real quick, Gators in spring football, they've had 3 practices. They were in pads on Saturday. I watched a little bit of it. It's hard to see. I will tell you this. I've never seen more recruits in practice than I saw on Saturday. It was unbelievable. There were so many freaking people there.
Awesome.
Not people, but recruits, high school recruits.
Right.
So they got it going on there for sure.
They got a youth move. They got a youth movement going on at Florida. Billy Napier, this Todd Gold. Strickland is going youth movement, and the kids react to those they have a lot in common with. I think that's the theme I want to leave with today, is that it's youth. There was a linebacker who stated over the weekend, I saw on Twitter, that he couldn't believe some of the things he saw at Florida. I wish I should have written down his name, but it's on there if you just pull up Florida Twitter. If he can recruit with the Georges, then they can threaten with the East again, and that's going to be the goal. Yeah.
All right, this is the best tweet, or not tweet, but Facebook Live I've read in quite some time. And it comes from Cliff. It says the thing fans don't understand about winning a national championship in basketball is that timing and luck has a lot to do with it. Anybody can beat anyone on any given day, and it is a single elimination tournament. If a team gets hot at the right time, they can win it. That is so true. It is so different than football. So much different than football. So good message there, Cliff. We appreciate it. JC, real quick, I want to get to this day in sports. It's a good one today. Brought to you by our good friends at Comfort Temp. Comfort is our business. Peace of mind is our promise. Comfort Temp's now hiring team owners with all levels of experience. $1,000 signing bonus. Give Comfort Temp a call. 352-376-2366. I got 2 of them today. Both of them happened in 1970, JC.
Oh, cool. 52 years.
The 32nd NCAA men's basketball championship. UCLA wins their 4th straight title. You know who they beat in that one?
Was that, let's see, that was Lou Alcindor. Was it Houston? I can't remember. I should
be the JU Dolphins.
Oh, JU Dolphins. Yes, JU. Right. Artis
Gilmore.
Yes.
Yep. So here's a great one in 1970. I'm going to butcher this guy's name, but bear with me. Vinko Bogataj crashes during a ski jumping championship in Germany. His image becomes that of the agony of defeat guy in the opening credits of the ABC's Wide World of Sports. Remember that guy?
That was great. Who could? Yes, absolutely. Wide World of Sports was my favorite show on Saturday, dude. The agony of defeat. Dun, 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 dun. Pull up on Google or YouTube. Pull up the old Wide World of Sports Open. That agony defeat guy. And in the ski jump, I don't know how many Olympics I've watched. I've never seen a guy wipe out like that one. So that's 52
All right,
years.
Well, JC, we got to get to more important things. We got James Bates. He's going to raise hell today about
Let us
swimming.
go.
So make sure you.
All right.
All right, we're going to take a quick timeout. Come back, and we'll be joined by James Bates talking NCAA Gator swimming. You're watching and listening to Potto and Matthews in the morning.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great clips. It's going to be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are MB Listing, McDonald's of Gainesville, My IT Masters, Gainesville Neon and Signs, 84 Lumber, Tropical Smoothie Cafe, Avra and Smith, Dowling Signs, Baker's Sporting Goods, Ruse Ogra Agent, State Farm Insurance, Silver Cube Billiards and Sports Bar. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the Advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Hi, Steve Spurrier here. You know, making a reservation at my restaurant is easier than a Saturday afternoon homecoming game against Vandy. You don't have to call or email. Just go to spurriers.com, hit the reservation button, pick a date, number of guests, and a time. It's so simple, I can do it. In fact, I just did. Maybe I'll see you tonight.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Celebration points where the Gators go to celebrate with premium brands like Nike, Regal Cinemas, Le Macaron, Bass Pro Shops, International Diamond Center, Prime and Pearl, and the HBC's restaurant, Spurrier's Gridiron Grill, now serving brunch on Saturday and Sundays. We'll see you at Celebration Point where the Gators go to celebrate. We're now going to go to the Titan MR hotline, and you can check out this guy's artwork at Spurrier's Gridiron Grill. Batesy, how you doing, my man?
Good, Niner. Thanks for having me on. How you doing?
I'm doing good, man. I wanted to get you on because obviously everybody knows your story. You're married to Tina, a former UF swimmer. You got two girls swimming on the UF women's team right now, and they're outstanding swimmers, obviously. And I think, correct me if I'm wrong, swimming is over now. It seems like it lasts forever. But that was the national championship meet up in Atlanta, correct?
Correct. The college season, the college season is over, but you're right twice. You're right that the college season is over, but you're also correct that it never really ends. I mean, they just, they'll have a few days off, and those that didn't make NCAAs, they just trained right through and really won't stop. I mean, they're just grinding right away because now comes you've got world trials coming up, and then worlds themselves and the U.S. Open, all that stuff. So it never really ends. So it's, and it's kind of like for a lot of them, they're truly like offensive linemen, to put it in our book. It's, they just go work hard, don't get a lot of credit, don't really care. They just like going out there and trying to get better and help their team. And gosh, it's I knew nothing about swimming before meeting Tina. And as you know, we met early on in college and dated all through school and married now. But I really immediately, some of my best friends in college were the guy swimmers, and I have so much respect for the guys and girls out there, and just the work that they put in. They are the hardest working athletes on campus, and it isn't even close. It's not even close. And
I agree.
I feel like we can say that,
Yep, there's no question. All right, so all these girls are working. We're going to talk mostly just the women's team today, and they work their tails off, and they go to these meets, and obviously the national story and all over social media is the male that is turned female for Princeton, I believe. Won, I guess, his event or her event, and it's causing a lot of chaos. And I think it's a disgrace. The NCAA, in my opinion, needs to do something about it. I would like to hear what James Bates, a former athlete who has girls competing against this guy, your thoughts.
Yeah, well, it's in Leah Thomas swam for Penn. It was for Penn, and and it was a long time building up and coming, and when the rumblings were first there, it was like this. Nah, this isn't going to happen. They won't let this happen. And then the NCAA acted like they weren't going to let it happen, and they said that they will just defer to U.S. Swimming, and whatever U.S. Swimming rules, that's what they'll go by in their decision if Leah Thomas can compete at NCAAs or not. And when U.S. Swimming, and this is about, I'd say about maybe 2-3 months ago, U.S. Swimming decided that whatever the words were that they used, that basically Leah Thomas would not be allowed to swim for U.S. Swimming. Therefore, the NCAA, everybody was like, okay, well, she's not going to swim at NCAAs now. But then the NCAA came right back and said, no, we changed our mind. We're going to do it this way. So then, you go through SECs up in Knoxville a couple weeks ago, and it's getting closer and closer, and you start to kind of feel like, gosh, it's going to be different. It's going to be hard. It's going to be hard being up there. But then as we're on our way up there, we're kind of like, no, you know what? I mean, there aren't many that make NCAAs. And Talia, she swam 3 individual events and was on 3 relays, and we were so proud of her, 4 relays, and just so proud of her and her teammates, and so excited to get up there because Anthony Nesty taking over is kind of like they're moving in the right direction, and let's just try to ignore. But when it finally happened on day 2 of NCAAs, and this was the 500 prelims, and then the 500 final that night was the first event that Leah Thomas swam in. It just took your breath away, and it was just so sad, and it hit home for the Florida Gators, like in 3 huge ways. I mean, there are many others, but just for instance, there's a girl named Mabel Zavaros, and she swam for Florida at NCAAs. She has a sister, Rosie. They're Canadian. Her sister, Rosie, was the first alternate for the entire meet. So she's the next one in. They only take so many people to NCAAs. She couldn't swim because Leah Thomas, a biological male, was allowed to compete, was allowed to swim in NCAAs. That's one. The second one came, and this one really hurt. It came on day 2, where they had the 500 prelims, and a girl named Tyler Matthew, who's a junior, came in with Talia. Known her forever. She's one of the hardest workers you'll ever meet, and just swims her guts out and finishes with an incredible time, a best time in prelims of the 500 free. And we're all excited. And then come the last couple heats after her for prelims. And what do you know? She finishes 9th overall. Top 8, Shane, are All-Americans. Right. The top 8 are All-Americans. And you know how much that means to you to be able to say, I'm an All-American. I was an All-American in high school 80 years ago, and whenever I talk about my high school career, I always like to throw that in there because it feels good to be able to say that you were an All-American. And, and you put it on resumes, and that'll be with you, and nobody will ever take that away from you for the rest of your life. Tyler Matthew is not an All-American in the 500 free because a biological male was allowed to swim and went and won that. And in those finals of the 500 free, Leah Thomas, there were 3 other girls of the 8 total that were in the Olympics in that final heat. And she won it going away, Leah Thomas. So there's the second example, how it hit the Gators right in the face. And then a third example, there's a girl, a sprinter named Katya Nikanova, and we call her Kat. And Kat finished 17th in the 200 free on the 3rd night. So the top 16 make it back to finals. There's an A final and there's a B final. She was 17th. So Katya didn't come back to finals, didn't get to swim again, didn't have a chance to swim at finals at NCAAs, is not an honorable mention All-American, is what 9 through 16, they're honorable mention All-Americans. And from points of the team, we were 1 point, and these are all points that are taken away from these teams. And we were 1 point behind Tennessee in the overall. Highest the Gators have been in 8 years. We finished 13th, which is a big step up from where we've been. And I mean, it just goes on and on and on. And that's just Florida. And that's just a few examples at Florida. And
right.
It's not, Shane, it's not I don't even have to go into how I feel for somebody who doesn't feel like they were born into the right body. I mean, I can't even imagine what that would feel like. But it's just not right to allow them to compete with females they've worked their whole lives to be in this position. And it's not a political thing either. I read an article the other day on CNN, and it talked about how the people that were showing that disliked it were Fox News and right wingers. I mean, there's a huge blend of people at these swim meets, and there weren't many that approved of what was going down. And it's not Leah Thomas's fault. It's not. It's the NCAA's fault, and it's sad. And it's sad, and somebody's got to fight for them, because how far are we away from all 8 lanes in the finals of NCAAs being trans swimmers? No women, because that's where we're heading. I mean, if it doesn't stop and create a different division or something, that's where it's going. And you say that you support women, and you run all these commercials. You run all these commercials about how much you support women, and put out these shirts that you give the girls that are all swimming there at NCAAs. How the NCAA is about fairness and all this. There's nothing fair about that. And you know what else upsets me about the NCAA is politicians that are making all these decisions, whether you like them or you don't, whether you agree or disagree. You see them, and they have to face the camera. They have to look people in the eye, and this is where I stand. This is the way I'm going to vote. This is what I'm going to do right here. I've never seen one of these NCAA officials that are making these decisions that are just rocking the women's sports. I've never seen one. Not one of them ever has to sit on camera and say, this is why we decided this. And it got a little fired up, but I am fired up, and we need to get fired up. And I appreciate you having me on and asking me about this and caring about this, Shane.
Yeah, I mean, it's totally ridiculous. And, if people aren't aware of what we're talking about, this Leah Thomas at one time was a male who was ranked like 462nd among the men's swimmers, and now ranked number 1 in women's swimming, I believe, something along those lines. It's not fair. So basically, let me ask you this question. Finish up, I'm sorry, Shane, just to finish up that thought. So Leah Thomas, as a male, didn't make NCAAs and wouldn't really come close to making NCAAs as a male. The men leave today to go compete in Atlanta for their NCAAs, and it's not even close. But I'm sorry, but go ahead. Yeah. So what was the reaction? Because it can get kind of loud in these swim meets because you're indoors and everybody's hooping and hollering. What was the reaction when Leah Thomas won the event?
I would say it was a sadness. It was like a haze. It was just sad. You've got Emma Wyant is an Olympian that came in second, is an elite athlete, is an incredible athlete. And it was just sadness. And there wasn't much noise when they were all awarded their medals up on the podium. It was a heck of a lot louder for Emma Wyant and those before her than it was for Leah Thomas, and it just carried over. I mean, it was exciting on the third night to watch that 200 free final. A girl named Taylor Ruck is, another Olympian that beat her in the 200. Man, that felt so good to just not have Leah Thomas dominated again, because it really took so much away. But if I had to describe it, it was just disbelief, and it was really devastating is the way it felt.
Yeah, I can't imagine. Natalia probably knows some girls that swim for Princeton. Maybe she does,
Penn,
maybe she doesn't.
For Penn.
Oh, it's Penn. Yeah, I'm sorry. Do we have any idea? Have you talked to any parents from Penn? What they think of having Miss Leah Thomas on their squad?
We crossed paths with a couple Ivy League people in the Ivy League swim circle. I don't know that we know anybody from Penn, but they have any of the swimmers in the Ivy League, especially those at Penn, have been told that they are not to say anything, and that includes their parents. Although there have been a couple parents that have come out. It's not like the entire Penn team approves of this. They disapprove, and part of it is the reason you hear the girls talking. They're sharing a locker room with a naked man. With Leah Thomas is that's what it happened at NCAAs. There's a penis in there. I thought that's it's changing, and that's what's going on, and there were stories leading up to it that the Penn swimmers didn't all approve, and that was one of the things that they really disapproved of, was that they had to sit and undress next to a biological male, and it was the same thing there in Atlanta.
Yeah, crazy stuff. Do you think UF will?
Am I allowed? Am I okay though to say penis on the show? Is that all right?
You can say whatever you want.
Okay. All right.
Do you think UF will? I can't remember the girl's name that got screwed out of the All-American deal. Do you think UF will acknowledge that?
Well, Tyler Matthew is her name.
Yeah.
And I don't know. I just hope that there's some way that not only can UF acknowledge things like that, acknowledge Tatia, acknowledge Tyler, but they can kind of help to come together with these other athletic directors, swim coaches, and together be able to talk. And it's not, I understand why we can't just jump out and say this. I mean, you gotta be careful and treat all of this with kid gloves, and it's a very sensitive situation for all of them. And but I just hope that we can figure out a way to address this, NCAA especially. That's where it starts, and it shouldn't have come to this. It should have been dealt with many years ago, really. And in swimming, this is where you're first seeing it, but it really hit home this past week. That's for sure.
Yeah. Well, NCAA has a lot of issues, but this is clearly one of the worst issues they've ever had, and it's a shame. It really ticks me off. I know you folks in the swimming community have kids and girls swimming. It's ridiculous. But we appreciate you taking the time, Batesy. I know you're a busy man. Appreciate you coming on, giving us your thoughts, and congratulations to your girls, to the Bates girls, and to the Florida girls swimming team, and on all the great accomplishments this year.
Thanks for that, Shane, and thanks for asking me to come on and caring enough about it, and thanks to everybody for listening. It's just so proud of all of them, and yeah, it was sad, man. It was sad. So thank you. Thanks a lot.
Absolutely. All right, Batesy, be good, my man. We'll talk to you soon.
Okay, buddy. Thank you.
That's James Bates joining us on the Titan MR hotline. It's just totally ridiculous. It just really pisses me off. We're going to take our final time out. Come back. We'll wrap up this Monday edition.
We want to take this moment to thank all our sponsors who keep the show going and pay the bills. Crime Prevention Security Systems, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. Titan MRI, Gainesville's only locally owned and operated MRI facility. Meldon Law, won't back down. Peachland Dental, Gator Nation's first choice for dentistry in Port Charlotte. Comfort Temp, comfort is our business, peace of mind is our promise. QC Kinetics, live pain-free with QC Kinetics. Great Clips, it's gonna be great. Our Gridiron sponsors are Auto ER, UF Bookstores, Celebration Point Town Center, South State Bank, Chris Doring Mortgage, Silverback Concrete Co. Some of our touchdown sponsors are Campus USA Credit Union, Adams Rib Company, Doreen Wiebe Realtor, Caldwell Banker, MM Parish, Gator Dominoes, Celebrate Primary Care, Gator Bait Media, Aikido America, Style Cuts, Big Mills Cheesesteaks. If you are interested in promoting your business on the show, visit potupwithshane.com and click the advertise button. Again, thank you to all the great businesses that support the show. If you like what we are doing here, make sure you follow us and support the businesses that support us.
Welcome back to the Crime Prevention Security System Studios, large enough to serve you, small enough to care. South State Bank, we understand that small businesses need a community business partner they can rely on. South State has 4 convenient Alachua County locations. South State Bank, banking for, member FDIC. I want to thank JC and James Bates for joining us on the Titan MR hotline. I appreciate James giving us his thoughts on the issue going on in women's swimming. It is just absolutely ridiculous. At Chris Doring Mortgage, they do mortgage lending right, helping home buyers throughout Gainesville and North Central Florida. Call Chris Doring Mortgage today at 352-244-0840. We got a text here before we get out of here on the Titan MR text line. It came from Alan in Atlanta. He says, ignore the crazies. This looks like a great hire. Encourage and support the new coach. And yes, I think UF can win conference titles and an occasional natty. I hope he becomes a legend. I think we all do, Alan. We appreciate the text. Hope you enjoyed today's program. Make sure you tune in tomorrow. We'll have Buddy Martin on. We'll get more into spring practice that I got to see on Saturday. Kind of recap that a little bit. But hope you enjoyed today's program. Again, we want to thank James for coming on and giving us his thoughts. Make sure you tune in tomorrow, folks. Have a great day.